On the second half of the show, we continue with a conversation around the fight against graft in the country. My first guest did not think there is even a fight against graft or corruption, if you like, that is ongoing currently, but we'll see what my guests now have to say. Joining me in studio is Maximilia Muninzwa, who's an ethics and leadership consultant. She's my own extreme right. And next to me is Okia Omtata, who's an activist. Lady, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And you've definitely heard what the conversation we're having with Advocate Sifuna just about the developments. But I wanted us to take it further and broader in this second half, because the concern has now become the graft diaries, if you like. If there's someone keeping one, every day you'll definitely make an entry. There's so much across the board, whether it's the executive, whether it's the legislature, whether it's the judiciary, and we're talking about the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court in the recent past. And also IEBC, we have reports of that, security agencies. In schools, we'll have that moral decay with the cheating in the exams, an increase of 70%, the CS said. And in churches as well, there's rot. What do you make of all this, Omtata? What's going on?
I think the war on corruption is there 100%. And what is not there is the war on the corrupt. The war on corruption is there. People are talking against it. People are preaching against it. And so I would not say that the war on corruption is not there.
It is there.
The war on corruption is there, and it is being fought 100%. What we don't have is the war on the corrupt.
So is it then empty words? Is it just,
No, it's misconceived. Is that you cannot fight a method. You cannot fight a method, a way of doing things. You fight those who employ that method. So what we need is the war on the corrupt.
Okay.
So that if you are found or suspected to be in this place, you have done a mistake, then they deal with you. So I would like to see so many, say we have 10 corrupt people have been arrested and have been prosecuted, have been jailed, and that's what I want. But the war on corruption, a war on the concept, it's like evangelization. Yeah.
Muninzwa, do you agree?
Yeah, well, not quite. When we talk corruption, people tend to think about those others, and we forget there's quite a lot that is happening within even myself. When I come to work 10 minutes late every day, that is corruption, but we do not look at it. Where we are did not start yesterday. It didn't begin today. It began a long time ago, and it began with little issues like coming to work late, soliciting favors, a little bit of impunity before it got to the stage where we are at. So I just want us to do a soul search, everybody, and see what is my contribution to the rot that is in Kenya, because it is only then that we'll be able to look at the solutions, that will be able to work on the solutions. Yes.
Because when we talk about the war on corruption, and even corruption in itself, Omtata, we're always talking about them, they are doing. So she's bringing us back to, it's happening with us. When there's a traffic offense, one is arrested, and they're running for a meeting is to give a quick 2,000 so that they can get to their meeting. And then nobody sees that as corruption, but it's all around us, isn't it?
Well, I'd look at it differently. What I'm concerned about is people who are in positions of leadership stealing taxpayers' money. That's my concern.
But won't this person who can pay a bribe when they go into leadership, won't they be stealing? Isn't it starting from
I'm not in leadership today, but I will be in leadership tomorrow.
Right.
And if I have not sorted my mess today, there is no way that tomorrow I'll be clean.
So for you, there's big corruption and small corruption.
What I'm saying is this. Leadership must set the standards. Leadership must set the standards. If we want to deal with the corruption of the small man and whatever wasting time, let us see that at the top it has been addressed. And this is what we are saying about here, what we are dealing with here for me. We are dealing with a political economy where there is a republic, where there is taxation, where there is representation, and where there is a civil service. So if we can sort out the mess within that sphere, I'm telling you, the other things will sort themselves out. You'll find a lot of the other small things that happen is because People know that there's an easy way out. People know that sometimes maybe you cannot follow through these things. But if you got from the president coming downwards, that it's a no-nonsense time. If you are caught doing this, you'll be dealt with. And I'm telling you, if you fix the big fish and say anybody this is the law and it will apply across board, people will go and toe the line.
So what if
and also the other thing is, just like medicine, there's what you call dosage. We should look at the doses that are happening, because sometimes, you saw the other day, there was this thing that was on social media the other day, where this guy was jailed for 2 years for stealing lotion or something like this.
Yes.
And people thought it was outrageous. And then they say, what did people think it was outrageous? They thought it was outrageous because people still much more are working free. And I've always had this thing saying that you steal a chicken, you go in for 7 years. You steal a bank, you rob a bank, you become an MP. You see? So those are the things that for me, I would like to see that now, if we can punish corruption, those who engage in corruption at the top, there will be a trickle down effect that will sort out. But when we begin creating excuses for being corrupt in leadership, when you go and offer yourself to be elected, you promise certain things. You say, I'm going to be in parliament, I'm going to provide oversight. When you apply for jobs in the civil service and you are interviewed, you promise the best standards. So there's some form of commitment that you give a contract between you and the society.
And so you must look for that money.
You must be able to look after that money. You must be able to show an example. And that's what is, to me, is lacking. And that's why I feel that if we could tailor the effort to target these people who steal money meant for the developing of this country. Because that does not fool us. So just like Christ said, the poor will always be with you. He did not justify poverty, but he gave a fact of life.
So then mega corruption is where our focus and attention should be, especially in as far as impunity is concerned. Because yes, we'll hear this and this happen, but at the end of the day, no prosecutions. But you were saying earlier that still we must start at the lower positions. Are you now convinced perhaps to take a different position?
No, I'm still not convinced, but let me start by just giving an example of a young man. Right. He lost his birth certificate about 4 years ago. So he get a duplicate of that birth certificate before he gets his ID. He was 18 at that time and due to sit for his KCSE. So they needed both the birth certificate and his ID. And he followed it up and he wasn't able to get it. That wasn't the minister who refused to follow it up. He's a Kenyan. He was born in a Kenyan hospital. He got a notification, copy of the notification from the hospital where he was born, and they have been playing around with him all this time. When he first came to me, I told him, because he'd been asked to kutoa kitu kidogo. Right. So when he first came to me with that, I told him, if I were you, I wouldn't give anything. I'd rather walk 101 days to and fro looking for the documents until such a time as when I'll get the documents. He was due to join college. He didn't have an ID. It was difficult for him to be admitted, and I just told him, go and explain the situation. And he did, and they accepted him. He only managed to get that copy of birth certificate as we speak last Friday. It would have been so easy for him or his people to say, okay, how much is needed? Let me give it. But this is a young man who accepted my guidance. And I'm so proud of him. Yeah. And that is where we lose it. Because if he had given in, remember he's a young man today, tomorrow he'll be a leader, he'll be a member of parliament, he could be an MCA, he could even be a governor or a senator or even the president of this country. But if he wasn't able to deal with this issue of having to bribe the chain of people up to the time that he got his birth certificate, do you think he would be able to fight it when he becomes a leader?